We have nest cuties.
ஹாய் ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ், எல்லோரும் எப்படி இருக்கீங்க? நம்ம இப்போ நியூ ஹாம்ஷயரில் இருக்கிற மவுண்ட் வாஷிங்டன் சப்மிட்டுக்கு போயிட்டுருக்கோம். நம்ம கார்லேயும் ட்ரைவ் பண்ணி போகலாம். அங்கே காக் ரயில்வேலையும் புக் பண்ணி நம்ம மேலே போகலாம். 6 miles. ஒரு ஜாலியான எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ்க்காக ட்ரெயினில் போகலாம் அப்படின்ட்டு நாங்கள் முடிவு பண்ணியிருக்கோம்.
Hey guys, today we're in the Cog Railway. We're going to go on this railway right there, and then it's going up. Yeah, it's super high. It's called like the Mount Washington. Yeah, I think it's called the Mount Washington. I think it will be super high because we saw it from there, and then it went all the way up. There were some towers too. Yeah. And also we're wearing big jackets because it will be summer. Cold up there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bye. Bye. See you there.
இது வந்து ஆக்சுவலாக வடகிழக்கு பகுதி அமெரிக்காவிலேயே வந்து மிக உயரமான மலை 6288 அடி இருக்குது. இவர் தான் வந்து இந்த காக் ரயில்வேவை வடிவமைச்சவர். இவர் பேர் சில்வஸ்டர் மார்ஷ். காக் ரயில்வேனா என்னன்னா, நம்ம ட்ரெயினில் நடுவில் வந்து இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு பல் சக்கரம் இருக்கும். கீழே தண்டவாளத்தில் வந்து லேடர் ஏணி மாதிரி ஒரு அமைப்பு இருக்கும். மேலே ஏறுறப்போ ட்ரெயின் வந்து அந்த ஏணி மாதிரி இருக்கிற இதுக்குள்ளே ஒரு பல்லாக போய் செட் ஆயிரும். அப்போ உங்களுக்கு வந்து க்ரிப்பாக இருக்கும், கீழே இறங்கி வராமல் இருக்கும். இதுதாங்க வேர்ல்ட்ஸ் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் காக் ரயில்வே.
And how are you doing?
Good.
You ready for some fun?
Yeah.
Good. The assignments are on your tickets. It's marked above the benches, okay?
Thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Up, you're blocking the views of other passengers. So let's be courteous. No 15-minute movies, okay? Just take a picture, get back in your seats.
இவர் தான் நம்ம டிராவல் கைடு. நம்ம கூடவே வந்து ஃபுல்லாக எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணிகிட்டே வருவார். இந்த காக் ரயில்வே எப்படி உருவாச்சு, மவுண்ட் வாஷிங்டன் பற்றி எல்லாமே தெளிவாக விளக்கமாக சொல்லிகிட்டே வருவார் நம்ம கூட.
Now you probably notice our engine is behind us instead of in front of us. That's a unique feature of the Cog Railway. Josh, our engineer back there, is going to push us up the mountain. And what I do as your brakeman is I set the brakes so we can roll forward and up, but not backward and down. And everybody's okay with that, right? I know I am. But the reason I'm sharing that with you, please don't touch any controls in the back. I have everything set up for our safety. Okay, we're off, ladies and gentlemen. How about that?
Awesome.
Now, I did check the summit conditions. You guys ready for this one? It's about 23 degrees up there right now, 32-mile-an-hour winds. So it's going to feel like 11 degrees if you all bring your long underwear. Now the good news is we've got some pretty good views, so they say on the internet. We should have like 70, 80-mile views when we get up there. So that's good. Now on the way up, I'll share some of the history of our White Mountains and the Cog Railway, and also tell you about our world's worst weather on Mount Washington. Everybody's interested in history, right? Because this is so much more than a simple train ride. Well, my engineer Josh has his pedal to the metal right now. We're traveling at a top speed of 5 miles per hour. How about that? Slowest roller coaster in the world. Now, if we go back 500 to 1,000 years ago, this was all wilderness, and the original inhabitants of this wilderness were the Abenaki Indians. They were here long before everybody else. And they would hunt animals, and they would fish in the streams, and they grew crops down here. However, they didn't dare climb to the summit. They actually worshipped the summit of Mount Washington. They called it the Great White Spirit. And they believed that anyone who dared to enter the territory of the Great White Spirit would be swept up and killed. Now, they didn't know it at the time. It wasn't the Great White Spirit. They were responsible for opening up North Country. They were road builders, inn builders, innkeepers, and they built the first road to connect Vermont and Maine, which began to open up commerce and trade. So more and more people started to settle up here, and also more and more people started to come up here and enjoy the beautiful White Mountains. So we had kind of the birth of tourism. So they stayed in all the inns that the Crawfords built, and that continued on to the next generation with their son, Ethan Allen Crawford, also in the inn business, built the first hiking path in North America from Crawford Notch up to the summit in 1819. And then in 1821, he came over here and cut the second path, the Mount Washington path, which our railway is pretty much following today. And later these paths became bridle trails, so now people could ride horseback up to the summit. Then you had the carriage road on the other side of the mountain, which was cut, and today that's the auto road. That opened up access to the summit. And then you had the birth of the Appalachian Mountain Club, which cut a whole network of trails up here, so now people could come up here without worrying about getting lost in the forest. So pretty soon all the inns were overloaded, and they started building all these grand hotels, like the Mount Washington Hotel. And however, those attracted the wealthiest of the wealthiest people, which would come up here and check in for the whole summer. And there's only 2 grand hotels left, the Mount Washington and the Mountain View Grand, but in the day, 125 years ago, there were 35 grand hotels, including one up at the summit. In fact, there were 3 different hotels from about 1875 to about 1970. Then you had the birth of the invention of the automobile, which made people even that much more mobile. And tourism continues to grow even today. It's our #1 industry in New Hampshire. So that's a quick history of how tourism has evolved to become our #1 industry. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the history of our railway. This is also a very interesting story. This began with the birth of a gentleman named Sylvester Marsh in 1803, about 40 miles south of here in Campton. He grew up on a farm and became very proficient around mechanical equipment, so much that his parents sent him off to the university in Boston. And after he graduated, he joined the meat packing industry down there, which at the time was operating on a Quincy market. Anybody familiar with Quincy Market in Boston? Well, that's where he began his career. And very quickly rose to the top of that industry, made a lot of money. He started looking for another career, and he also got very sick with a severe heartburn condition. And his doctor told him, Sylvester, you need to go on a diet, lose some weight, get some exercise, stop eating that greasy meat. Hostel or shelter, if you will, for folks who hike to the summit and wanted to spend the night up there. So Sylvester and his pastor got out of the elements, survived the night. And by the way, the Tip Top House is still up here. Very historic building. You'll get to see it miles in every direction. And that's when he had his next revelation, that more people should have the opportunity to come up and enjoy the summit, although not by hiking and risking their lives, as he and his pastor did. So that revelation ultimately became his next career, and he set out to invent the world's first mountain climbing steam engine. Now, the other thing I want you to keep in mind as you're looking in that picture window, believe it or not, take a good look at this building because it's perfectly level. We're the ones who are crooked. This building is perfectly level. If you put a marble on the floor, it wouldn't even roll. Check that out. Which was kind of a crazy idea in the day. But he knew a conventional locomotive couldn't deal with the steep grades and terrain of the mountain. He had to come up with a totally different engineering concept. So we're coming up on what I think is the most fun part of our journey. Are you guys ready to have some fun? Yes! Okay. Look ahead of me. This is a trestle 300 feet long. It's called Jacob's Ladder. It's the steepest grade of our journey to the summit today. The grade right here is 37.41%. For every 100 feet we move forward, we rise 37 feet. And you may not believe it, but the back of our coach is about 18 feet lower than the front of our coach right now. Now, before I continue, what I'd like everybody to do is take a look off the right side of our coach. Here's a beautiful view of the top of the Ammonoosuc Ravine. And those are called the Southern Presidential Mountains over there. From left to right, we have Mount Monroe, Mount Eisenhower, Mount Franklin, and Mount Pierce. Now back to Jacob's Ladder. Grade's 37%. That doesn't really mean a whole lot to people until I ask you to do what I'm about to do, which is stand up, get into the center aisle. I'll let you do this in a second. And don't hold on to anything, and just stand up nice and straight like me. Straight's the key word. How's everybody doing? You stand up nice and straight? You have to actually lean forward. Just stand up with a grade like that. So for the next 10 years, Sylvester set out to come up with an engineering design that could deal with the steep grades and terrain of Mount Washington. And for 10 years, he tried all kinds of things, and he failed and failed and failed again. But one day his breakthrough came when he borrowed an idea from a bicycle of all things. Now I'm going to share some other unique features of our railway. Take a look out at the center of our tracks here. You'll see something that resembles a chain laying down. And we call that a rack. And underneath our coach and engine are the cogs, which look like very large gears that ride in the rack. Now Josh, our engineer, has the drive cogs engaged right now, so we're literally climbing up the mountain right now with the cog engaged in the rack. Much more powerful than a conventional locomotive. So all the work is done in the center. There's so much history along our tracks as well. I've walked our tracks a few times. I found, for example, the rails were 150 years old. And they were actually hand forged by a blacksmith. Had to hand make all of these parts. It's all related to our world-source weather up there and the trickle-down effect. And once we get above tree line around the corner up here, all these trees are going to disappear because they just can't tolerate the severe weather conditions on Mount Washington. Now that we're getting up a little higher, take a look off the left side of our coach. Got some beautiful views of, you're looking out at Jefferson, New Hampshire, and the mountains in Vermont, and about 40 miles away over by St. Johnsbury. Now you notice the trees are getting very short. These aren't trees, by the way. We're approaching our tree line on Mount Washington, which is about 5,000 feet. And that's about half of what it is on typical mountain ranges around the country and the world. Usually it's 10 to 12,000 feet. Now the reason why it's only 5,000 feet here is because of our severe weather on Mount Washington. And once we get above tree line, things are going to really go downhill quickly. Now I told you Mount Washington is known as having the world's worst weather. And that's because we have three major storm systems and about 25 minor storm systems that always collide up here, and that's what creates the world's worst weather. Now, back in 1934, the highest winds ever recorded on the planet were recorded right up here at our summit. You guys ready for this? 231 miles per hour. It could be 90 degrees and sunny at our base station. It could be a blizzard up here with 75-mile-an-hour winds. Now this afternoon, they're forecasting about 2 inches of snow up here by about the end of our day. So that should be a lot of fun. And fortunately, you guys are going to miss that. But I'll be right in the thick of it. Now, if you look off the left side of our coach, there's another mountain. Again, we're above tree line. Take a look around. There's no more trees. And in the summer, we have several pretty varietals of alpine flowers growing out here in this region. Now, the other thing that can survive Mount Washington's weather, it's a plant called lichen. And if you look all over the rocks, you'll see this greenish fungus. And that's lichen growing all over the boulders up here. If you look off the left side of our coach in the field out here, you're going to see these triangular shaped piles of rocks. And those are what we call cairns. And we use cairns to mark hiking trails above tree line. And what the hikers do is they walk from cairn to cairn. And my name is Terry, and my engineer is Josh, and we've really enjoyed taking you up to the summit today. Hope you're having a memorable experience, learning about the history of the White Mountains and the history of our railway, and also getting a better understanding of the world's worst weather out there. You're going to get a little taste of it. So finally, we're here. Welcome to the summit of Mount Washington.
So we are here on the beach.
That's where we were standing there. It's like you can see that I am, like, the wind is pushing me. It's very strong. Like, see me! See, I even, like, look at this. It's pushing to that side. See that? It's like up to 11 degrees. Yeah. 11. You should get, like, stronger pants and, like, jackets and stuff. Even when I'm wearing gloves, it's freezing. I still have my frostbite. Oh yeah. Let's go take a. Guys, let's take a tour. So like I said, look, wait, Vishnu. You come stand right here with the hood on. Hold your hood. When I say leave it, you have to leave it. Hold your hood. When I say leave it. See, it's pushing out. It's so windy here. Oh my god. Yeah, I know. Whoa, take a look at me. No? I think I am fully hot. Okay, come. Let's take a look at this. Bam! Can you guys see that? That's the way that we came from. And you see that train right there? That's the one. And there's another one going from here. All the way down. All the way down. And you see that white spot over there? That's snow. Yeah, that's snow. You know, in our place, it's like summer right now. This is such an amazing spot. But it's sure so windy though. See, you take a look. We're walking back. I don't know if you guys can see this, but so here, see? I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm going over there. The hiker registration thingy.
என்ன ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் எல்லாம் என்ஜாய் பண்ணிங்களா? இப்போ நம்ம இங்கே மேலே ஒரு மியூசியம் இருக்குது, நெக்ஸ்ட்டு கீழே ஒரு மியூசியம் இருக்குது. இது ரெண்டும் நம்ம பார்ட் 2ல பார்க்கலாம். Bye friends.
We're entering the museum. Like the board I showed you, we're going there. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.